What is going on, you wonderful thought-having people, you? As always, I'm Jake from Give It Thought, and today we're looking over something that caught my eye this morning during my usual news scroll. And it looks like there is a fan game category at this year's Game Awards hosted by none other than Jeff Keighley. I mentioned him for a reason which I'll come back to later, but the nominees were Project AM2R, Pokemon Uranium, Brutal Doom 64, and Enderal, The Shards of Order. As you can see, it is a pretty short list to begin with, but a pretty well stocked one. I don't know much about the Enderal game, but the first three are pristine examples of what fans can come up with if they have a little free time. The wet blanket on this whole celebration of fan-made efforts has been brought to a halt though, because 2 of the 4 entries in this category have been pulled. Can you guess which ones? I'll give you a hint. 2 of them are owned by the same parent company. The name starts with an N. Ringing any bells? Of course, it's Nintendo. Now, before I go giving Nintendo a fine tongue lashing, let's see what the host of the Game Awards had to say about this. Keighley, speaking to Nintendo Everything, said, "Everything in the show has to be legally cleared by the game companies in question. We have to go through this clearance process where we have to basically get rights from everyone who owns the IPs of the games, but we don't tell those companies in advance who's nominated, and we find out together. It became clear once we announced the nominees that we weren't going to be able to get clearance on those games from Nintendo. So it is unclear if Nintendo contacted them and said, absolutely not, or if it was just a move by the production company behind the Game Awards that chose not to even try. Either way, we get the same result. The 2 games will not be appearing at the award ceremonies." Keighley continued, speaking to Nintendo's ownership of those intellectual properties. They're trying to protect their IP, and those creators had sort of taken those games down. So from a show perspective, those games had been, I think, issued takedowns. And if we include those in the show, then the show is potentially at risk for the takedown as well. Clearly, Keighley is worried about his show here. Rightly so, you can't knock him for that. The thing is, without these fan games in the category, the show loses its integrity a bit. So Keighley is kind of screwed both ways. Either he lets the games on and retains integrity while getting shut down, or he removes the games and the show loses its integrity but still gets to air. A quick question to you viewers. What would you do in this situation? Be sure to tell me down below. Keighley finished by saying that, "I think fan creations are amazing things that fans do, and I hope that game companies and fans can find ways to create that content. I would like nothing more than those creators and Nintendo to figure out a way to collaborate on content." That sums up my feelings on this whole thing to a minor degree, and it is hard to argue with Nintendo's right to take those games down. I mean, they do own the IP. The thing is, and I've said this before, the games are not making money for the creators, nor are they bad games. It would be different if someone made a game where Mario and Luigi had an incestual love affair or something, then I could see the game being removed because it paints the characters in a bad light. But these games do not do that in the slightest. If anything, it shows Nintendo what fans want. Nintendo should see this and take notes, especially in AM2R's case, because fans have been clamoring for more Metroid. While we don't really have a shortage of Pokemon games these days, Metroid is really ignored, and I cannot count Metroid Prime Federation Force as a true Metroid game. It's a fine enough game, but fans just going by the sales and internet backlash don't want that. They want a tried and true Metroid game. Even a Metroid Prime sequel or reboot would be good. And AM2R showed that to Nintendo. How do they not see that? The fans were so desperate they went out of their way to create their own game. Am I the only one seeing this? But anyway, it always feels weird getting outraged over something as arbitrary as video games, but they're a big part of my life and yours. And deep down, I just want Nintendo to do the right thing. So of course, I want to hear from you wonderful thought-having people down in the comments. And by the way, I don't think many people are getting the joke. The intro is cringingly bad on purpose, so I guess it makes it a bad joke on my part. But be sure to tell me what you think about Nintendo removing these games from the awards, and just Nintendo's policy on fan games in general. But I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you enjoyed this video, you know what you have to do. Hit that like button for me, and if you're new here, why not subscribe? I put out a new video every single day, and if you want to stay up to date on all the upcoming gaming news, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button. And in case you missed yesterday's video, I went over the No Man's Sky 1.1 update patch notes. I tried to go into a little more detail than usual, so go check that video out. But that's about it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, give thought to everything.